Today, we're diving into a fascinating and honestly pretty ambitious philosophical work. The paper is by S. C. Sayles, and it's titled Being and Nothingness, the Logos-centered Ontology. So what's this paper actually about? At its core, Sayles is tackling a question that, well, kind of haunts all of philosophy. Why does anything exist at all? What does it really mean to exist? The classic, why something rather than nothing problem. Sayles brings together biblical theology, the Reformed tradition, and a sweep of philosophical history to wrestle with this. And hey, you might wonder, why should you care about such cosmic questions? Well, at the end of the day, these questions touch every choice, every value, every tiny moment where you wonder, does anything really matter? Sayles would say, yeah, the way we answer these questions shapes absolutely everything, from how we see science to how we approach meaning in our own lives. Now let's zoom in on what Sayles is actually doing here. The paper argues that God isn't just like some being in a cosmic lineup with everything else. Instead, God is being itself, the source, ground, and sustainer of all reality. All other things, including us, are sort of contingent, dependent, and held up by, well, the will of God. This is a position that rejects both materialist reductionism, the idea that only atoms and measurable things are real, and pantheistic monism, which blurs everything together into one big divine soup. Sayles sets this all up using a kind of logical scaffolding inspired by Wittgenstein's Tractatus. Each proposition builds on the last, mixing theology, philosophy, and even bits of modern science, always under the authority of, well, scripture, according to Sayles. This is a paper that loves history. You get a grand tour from the gods of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia to the Greek philosophers like Thales and Heraclitus and Plato and Aristotle. Sayles draws a line from those thinkers through the Hebrew scriptures' idea of creation out of nothing to early Christianity's claim that the Word became flesh. Even Augustine and Aquinas show up with their ideas of divine participation and the tricky dance between essence and existence. But let's not get too tangled in the old names here. The heart of Sayles' argument is this: all existence is sustained by God. Evil in this system isn't some rival force. It's kind of a parasite, a lack of the good rather than its own thing, and meaning it's bound up with purpose. The cosmos is shooting for a teleological consummation in the Logos, that is, everything moving toward the person of Christ. Here's where it gets a bit futuristic. Sayles even touches quantum physics. He says, look, the so-called vacuum of quantum theory isn't nothing. It's a field of relational potential. That, he argues, fits as an analogy, a kind of physical echo, of the theological idea that creation is sustained moment to moment by the Logos or divine word. It's not saying quantum physics proves theology, just that they rhyme in an interesting way. Sayles' approach isn't just to describe, it's confrontational. He challenges materialism, pantheism, nihilism, basically any philosophy that, in his view, threatens meaning or personality or reduces everything to calculation or chaos. He says, if his premises are right, the conclusion about a logos-centered reality logically follows.